Everybody, Corey here, and we have another Double Toasted interview. Now, this is another interview that is extremely difficult to do because the person that I have the pleasure of talking to today has done so much stuff. You can take a look at their IMDb page. It's one of those pages where you first look at it, you just get exhausted, tired looking at this because they have done so much. I can only share with you, since they've done so much, I have to share with you at the beginning one of my favorite things that they have done, and everybody knows the character of Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, tell me about it. No, it's not you. She's not the easiest person to get close to. There's a wall there. Trust me.
Are you talking to that squirrel?
I was a junior chipmunk, and I had to be versed in all the woodland creatures. Please continue.
Everybody, please welcome Patrick Warburton. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Corey. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm going to bring up something later to tell you, because you're doing an independent movie right now. You're where in Indianapolis, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
And you're doing an independent movie. One of my favorite things that you've ever done is an independent film, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. My question for you in the beginning was going to be, since you do so much work in both live action and in animation, I was going to ask you if you were picking up any more animation work, since that's the case. But it sounds like nothing's stopping you. You're out there doing everything still.
Well, first, Corey, I like to say you got to be well versed in all the woodland creatures. Not just forest.
I never asked for anybody to
remember.
I never asked for anybody to do the voices for me or anything, but I love it when people do, man. That excites me so much.
Yeah, I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana right now, working on an independent film. I was charmed by the script and the role. I really thought I was going to sit out this entire COVID mess until I ventured back to work, but it'd been a while, and I thought, I liked their COVID protocol. It seemed safe, but it's sort of frightening right now because the numbers are all skyrocketing, and there's a lot of activity, on a set. But knock on wood, we have made it through the first couple of weeks of filming, so we'll see.
I got to ask you then, because everybody's talking about safety with live action productions right now, and even big studios are trying to figure their way around it. You're on an independent production here. So what are the safety measures that are being done? Or even better yet, knowing that COVID is out there right now, how did they sell you on the project to ensure that everything would be done properly and everything would be safe?
Well, this is pretty much the protocol here. Hey, I didn't go to any bars or restaurants this weekend. Did you guys? We're good. They do have. They got these guys. They're medics that test us every 3 days. So we got that going. All cast and crew are supposed to, I guess when you're not, cast doesn't end up having masks on most of the time. The crew all does. And we're all tested we're supposed to wear our masks really when we're not working, but then that becomes a gray area because you're doing your dialogue, you're not, and they're calling action, you're not, and so then you end up, you're not putting your mask on because you're doing scenes, and but it's just everybody. You're just feeling it out. Everybody's trying to be as safe as they can be. We've managed with a relatively large crew to do it right these first 2 weeks. So hopefully we survive it.
What's the movie about?
It's called The Duel.
Okay.
It is. It's an interesting film about a serious conflict between some young friends. I think that's all I can say. Right?
Okay, we'll leave it at that then. You know what? Okay, so I'll tell you what. Speaking of all the stuff that you've done, as I said, extensive body of work. Today, you're beloved for your voice work, and also just you've been known to become the guy with the likable image, man. Everybody just sees your face before you say anything. They just love you. Now, I want to start looking back at your early career, and bear with me for a moment because I need to show a couple of things to sort of put stuff in context. So one, I want to take a look at something that you did early on in television. I believe that this is it's a pilot. I don't know if this is the first thing you've done, but this is a pilot for something called Life's a Banquet. We're going to take a look at a very young Patrick Warburton.
Morning, all.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. His brain can generate enough power to keep his legs moving?
Yes.
Now, that's sort of the Patrick Warburton personality that we know. But I have one. Now, that's television. Now, I have I believe, one of your first, if not your first, movie roles, which is more of a dramatic role. Also featuring somebody that you acted again in animated form. This is something called Dragonard.
And an innocent man.
You have no evidence.
Arrest him! Eartha Kitt and Herbert Lom. Master.
And they didn't say Patrick Warburton. I thought they were going to say that, but they did say Eartha Kitt, which again we know that you have starred with in the Emperor's New Groove. Now, the reason why I showed those two things right there. First, and let me just say, man, that too bad they're not making Disney live. They weren't making Disney live action remakes at the time. You would have made a hell of a Disney Prince, man. Right there with Ariel and everything. But looking at specifically the movie role, that was more of a serious role, more of a dramatic role. When you were first starting out with your career, did you have any kind of different ideas or ambitions? Did you want to be more of a serious actor? Or did you want to be more of a romantic leading man?
Well, I've managed to be able to diversify throughout the years, but Dragonard and Master Dragonard Hill would be horrible examples. Those were films I did when I was 22 years old. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I got to go to South Africa with Eartha and Oliver Reed and an interesting cast, but to do some horrible films, and I really was the worst thing in them. They were islands colonized by the Brits in the 16th century. I remember saying they were produced by this now long defunct Canon corporations, and they were notorious for making low budget cruddy movies, and these were a couple of them. And I remember saying, at the time, I should obviously work in a dialect, and they just said, no, this doesn't matter. And I really do look like I was just sort of transported back in time, but they're horrible films, but it was an amazing experience because I spent almost every night hanging out and drinking with my friend Oliver Reed. And I have amazing stories, and it was just an amazing experience. So you can look back and go, well, this was just a horrible production, and it's no work that I'm proud of, but it was an amazing experience. And so that's what the takeaway is from that.
Yeah, I didn't bring that up. Dragonard is where you led a slave revolt, I believe, and whatnot. I didn't bring that up to be like, look at this terrible movie. I'd never seen it before. Again, people, I wasn't trying to do a gotcha thing. Look at you son of a bitch. No, it was like, it was just so different from what we see mostly you doing today. And that's why, I was just wondering, at the time, being so young, just what you were thinking about when you were entering the industry.
Well, Corey, so much of it was so absurd. And when you think about it, because, yes, it took me along with the character Calabar to team up and start the slave revolt. And Calabar was played by an actor and bodybuilder. His name is Martin Dewey. And he's also a fighter. He was a fighter, a professional fighter in South Africa at the time. So our director, his name was Gerard Kikoin, a Frenchman, who had to, I needed to explain that, who had only directed blue movies, apparently, up to this point. So there's one moment in this film where Calabar and I grab hands. I don't know if you can see this. We grab hands. And Gerard walks up to us and goes, when you grab his hand, I want you to put your thumb in the air like this. I go, I don't know if they did that back then. And I think the Fonz might have invented that. Gerard goes, no, do it. They will love it. Who's they? Like the audience? Hey, we did it. It's in the movie. The movie's just, it's absurd. It's one of those fun movies to watch because it's like super culty bad. It's just ridiculous the whole way.
Someone had asked me, they say, so you worked with Oliver Reed, and they're very excited about that. And I guess they just got in because they're saying, well, was it difficult working with him? But you said you had some great times and some good Oliver Reed stories. Do you want to share one of those stories?
Well, yes, I remember on the set, every now and then he might offer me a little bit of whiskey around 10, 11 a.m. And I'll join you this evening, but not right now. But I just would, sort of would tag along with him because, I was like his boy. He was 49 years old. I was 22. And we bonded, thankfully, a very interesting man. But he was, I remember hanging out in his room like the fourth or fifth night with him and his wife, Josephine, I believe was her name. She was 24 at the time. He was 49. He met her when she was 16.
He met her when she was 16?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a true player right there, man.
Apparently she picked him up. I don't know.
Back when you could do that, I guess.
I don't know.
One of the characters that you are known for today, out of many, many so far, is Joe Swanson, the wheelchair-bound cop from Family Guy right here. The show that just hit its 350th episode. You've done this character for years, as you have with a lot of characters. But when you've done something like this for so long, what's the mindset when doing something that long? Are you gonna miss this gig and this character when they're gone, or is it like, okay, I've done this, I do so much, time to move on to the next thing?
No, this is one where you just feel blessed and fortunate that you've been invited and you've been able to participate as long as you have. I mean, I love satire. It's edgy, it's dangerous, but that's where, like some of these edgy cartoons like South Park and Family Guy can play, where, you see things. It's a show that's upset my parents for years. They begged me.
So your parents actually pay attention to what you do then?
They do. Well, they hear through their news sources and whatnot. They're very conservative. They're just, anything that, might, be, a gag on Catholics, but there's gags on Catholics and on Jews and on every religion, It's just, that's the nature of satire.
Yeah.
I've had to explain that to them.
That's a good way to ask this next question. So you talk about satire. You're talking about, politics and the social issues that are involved with that. So recently, Family Guy got caught up with a few other shows with this controversy on voice casting and voice actors doing voices for characters of a different race. So on Family Guy, that definitely happened. That happened with the character of Cleveland, which your character, Joe, is sitting right next to right here. Cleveland is the character, or the voice actor who did the character, Mike Henry. Mike Henry is going to be replaced by a black actor. I believe the actor's name is Arif Zahir. So, as a prominent,
So now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So this season, they've been recorded. They had already recorded all last season, I guess, with Mike. And so this new season that we're doing is with the new actor.
Yeah. Well, as a very prominent voice actor yourself, how did you feel about this trend of recasting when it started to kick off? And did you have much interaction with Mike Henry?
Well, I do. Yeah, Mike's a great guy, and they love him over there. So, but he does other voices on the show, and so he'll be doing other things on the show. But I'm obviously supportive of anything where if there's a social movement, if people are offended, if that's the way things need to be, that then they're necessary changes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, because people say what you just said sometimes. They say, well, why are they making such a big deal about this? Because it's a satire. And then other people are like, well, satire has a certain bounds. So, I can definitely see where, you could come in and be like, well, I support this. I'm not this person over here, and I have to kind of respect how they feel. I just want to show, just in case people are not familiar with Family Guy, I don't know who you are. This is both the character of Cleveland and Patrick Warburton's character, Joe, in the same scene right here.
Oh, man, we gotta help Peter. Those crazy European guys are gonna kill him.
If we can get to the galley, we can take the elevator down to the cargo hold.
Good idea, Joe.
I didn't hear any of that on my end.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I don't know why. You heard every other clip I played, right?
Yeah, I heard that. Sort of. It's not great audio here in my.
Well, people on our end can hear it, but I tell you what it was. It was the scene where you and Cleveland were on the plane and it was getting hijacked. Played this clip where the business guy was getting complaining about his, I have a blue shirt on. How dare you take up my time? So that's the clip that I played right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you talk about how your parents they look at some of the stuff that you've done, like Family Guy, and they're like, I don't know about this. And again, you haven't done so much over the years. When you see these kind of trends happening, do you start to think like, well, I don't know, they're going to look back on something that I did and try to catch me, or try to counsel me or whatever, try to pin something against me?
Yeah, well, I'm always concerned. Look, when you're on a show like that, it's gonna, ruffle. Some people are offended by it. Some people, love it. I've met a lot of people in wheelchairs who just love it to death. And I'm concerned that there are those that will find it offensive, and it's one of those things where it's, it's just not for everybody. That's just it. And I guess, the sort of the nature of satire is offensive, in many ways. Satire is always going to offend somebody. That's what makes satire satire.
Yeah. Going back into live action work. And again, I told you I was going to ask you about, I'll bring up something that had to do with independent film. You are definitely on a lot of people's, with some character or some property, you're on a lot of people's favorite of list. This is my favorite character. You're on my favorite show. You are in one of my favorite movies of all time. And this is a movie that you made back in, it came out and did the independent circuit back in 1999. And that is, and I'm going to play a clip right here, that is The Woman Chaser.
Title is a clue. The theme is concerned. The movie is about America. Mr. Average American.
This is a movie where you played, and this is based on a novel by Charles Wilford. You played a used car salesman here, or you owned a used car lot, and you got bored, and it just so happens in your boredom, you went off and made what a couple of people considered to be one of the greatest movies of all time. And it was so great that it couldn't be shown and eventually drove you crazy. I interviewed you about this movie back in 1999. You were at South by Southwest. You wouldn't remember it. You actually tackled me to the ground during an interview. But that movie I love so much, and I remember when I talked to you, you said that it was a role that you really fought for at the time, because it almost did seem like you wanted to show something, a different side of yourself. How do you feel about the movie today?
Well, I feel like it certainly stands up. Look, it was dated when we made it. It was it was film noir. It was very stylized. Robinson DeVore, he wrote and directed it, and it was great working with Rob. Very, very interesting filmmaker, and it was quite the venture. We did it. We had a very low budget. It was guerrilla filmmaking. We had to steal locations and get in and get out of places. But on such a low budget really made it look like, 1959 America. And I thought it plays well. It's really interesting. I've had people come up throughout the years, like I might be an admirer of their work, and we might not know each other, but they might approach and say something. I bumped into Patton Oswalt at Disney's Imagineering one day, and always been a big fan of Patton's, and I just find him to be very, very sharp. I love his perspective on things, and he just came to me and said, "I love The Woman Chaser. I think it's a genius film," and he loved the irony and all that, and it's meaningful on levels like that with these little movies that never really got out there, to have people in the industry come up and go, "I love that film. It's great." But we had a small art house release back in, I guess, 2000. But we had debuted at the New York Film Festival and then at Sundance. And but it's fun to watch because it is odd.
Yeah, I think it's a extremely underrated movie. I put it up in my top 5 films. I try to have viewing parties, and we were even planning a festival where we're going to show 2 of our what we consider to be most underrated movies, and that was one of them. And it was before, right when COVID hit, that we couldn't do it, and we had one of the directors coming in from one of the movies, but The Woman Chaser was going to be one of those films. I just love that film, man. So it's
that's cool, Corey.
No, it's an honor to be able to even, tell you that personally, because I think more people need to see that movie. When I look at that movie, I see something different from your other work. Today, you're a brand, and you're a brand that people love. That people instantly recognize you, whether they see you or hear you, and they love you immediately. And maybe you have done something like this, but is there something that you haven't done yet that would be a complete departure from what we see or hear from you today?
I'm always looking for that. I'm COVID.
See, there you go. Making that movie.
I'm always looking for something interesting and different, and opportunities. I've never had a mustache. This was during the quarantine, just sort of a gag. Me and all my boys, we all shaved down to a mustache for fun, and then I just kept mine. I still have trouble taking myself seriously looking in the mirror with this thing. But now I'm playing a character in a film named Christoph, who's a dealer of antiquities, and he also has a niche market in supplying the tools and the weaponry for dueling. Mm-hmm. So he's perfect for Christoph.
Yeah, I gotta say, when you popped up, I could only see your eyes first, and then the mustache came up, and it did throw me off. I just thought about that. Like, I've never seen you with a mustache before.
Yeah, it's the first in my 55 years.
It looks great. I like it. Very debonair.
Makes me look smarter, I think.
What's that?
Makes me look smarter.
I wouldn't insult your intelligence like that. I don't know if it makes you look smarter, but it's different in a very good way. I like it. I was also taken aback recently by the news of the Venture Brothers. You know, the Venture Brothers is another long-running show where you played the homicidal bodyguard for the Venture family. We'll show a little clip of that right here.
Brock Sampson.
Brock Sampson, that's right.
Panic room, the compound is full lockdown!
Brock, I am this close to being Dolly's good.
Like an animal to feel the kill.
All right, now you're scaring me.
You know, that is a character that is so beloved by a lot of people, you know, and it's funny because you're always finding a different audience. You're always finding a new generation to connect to. That character is very popular with a very young crowd right there. You not as long. Is that not as long as Family Guy, but that's a character that you've done for a while. A lot of people right now are just asking, you know, your experience on working on the Venture Brothers. What's that like?
That's been, it's a lot of fun. It was the result of actually working on The Tick originally, when I did The Tick with Ben Edlund and Barry Sonnenfeld back in the day, in around 2000. And Chris McCulloch, who's a very good buddy of Ben Edlund's, and it was like his right-hand man on The Tick, is one of the two writers and creators of the Venture Brothers. And it's funny, but we... 7 seasons later, they would do a season every 2 years or so, and maybe 10 more episodes. That would be it. So it was slow in production. And to this day, and I'm always screwing up which one Chris is, whether it be Doc Hammer or Jackson Public. I'm pretty sure Chris is the Jackson Public, because those are the two names of the guys.
Yeah. I know you're like looking at me for a landline. I couldn't help you, man. I don't know. I'm like, I was hoping you would know, because I don't know. I know the names, but I'm like you. I don't know who's which. It's been so long since I've seen it.
I love doing this because I just know that eventually this will show up and Chris will look at it and he will just curse my name and say, "Really, 20 years now, really? It's not that tricky, Patrick." You expressed your disappointment, even though the production was kind of off and on. You expressed your disappointment with the show being eventually canceled. I'm even showing a tweet right here from Jackson Public. So you've after having done so many characters that people know, I mean, all of them come to an end eventually at some point. What is one, or what are some of the things that have ended that you just miss dearly? You would just love to have a chance to do it again. Well, everything, comes to an end. When I did The Tick originally, we did 9 episodes. That was very short-lived, and it would have been great if we got a shot to do more. But we all felt that it really was a little bit before its time. Most of the critics at the time said this is just an imaginative, wonderful show, too good for television. It's going to get canceled. And they were right, because at the time, it was the most expensive half-hour show Fox had done. It was single camera. It was a parody on superheroes, and nobody'd seen that. And we did 9 really, fun, clever episodes, and Fox just sort of fed us to the dogs. They didn't even put us on the air for a year. They didn't want to spend the money on the show, and then they just, instead of putting us up in a good slot, like a Sunday night slot, what they were supposed to do, they stuck us up on Thursday nights against second year of Survivor and just tried to murder us with ratings, because they want to be able to rationalize why they're doing something. So The Tick would have been fun, but all things come to an end. But what's fun is just that there are new audiences. I mean, there are literally new audiences for Seinfeld now. People just sort of discovering that, new generations for that, and people discover things that you did, and then you get to talk about them anew. Some things end up lasting too long. Some things just don't last long enough. Yeah,
no. Well, like I said, you don't ever seem one to be at a loss for being busy. Seems like when something's over, you're just ready to jump into something new. I caught him in one of his business calls too. He's like, "Yeah, next season I'm gonna be doing this and that." I was like, "Wow, this guy's constantly doing something here."
Well, no, I'm not that busy. I mean, I'm doing this film right now because just been sitting around for like the last year. I had spent a couple of years in Vancouver doing a series of unfortunate events with Barry Sonnenfeld, which was just an amazing, amazing experience. Anytime you get the opportunity to work with Barry, and a great cast and just great material. And then the next year, my wife and I just traveled because we raised 4 kids, and we haven't been able to do that together. So we went to Africa with World Vision, then went on a safari. We went to Peru with my sister and brother-in-law. We went to Alaska and Ireland and London, and had an amazing year traveling around, which is great. And we're so thankful for it now, especially with everything being shut down. And then we were in quarantine for, we've been in quarantine for months and months. So it had been 2 years since I did anything on camera other than voiceover work. So that's why I'm here.
You're doing so much voice work. Do you have a studio built at home so you can just record from there?
Yes, a small setup. It's decent. It works at times, but usually with Family Guy, still going to a studio.
Yeah.
It still's best to go in, and it helps them keep us keep everything within words fail me. Just a consistent. You want consistent recordings, and you're not really getting that if you're getting it from everybody in different studios at their homes and whatnot. I guess they can change things, work with levels and whatnot inside when they piece it all together, but it's sort of best to get everybody in the same studios, I think.
Yeah. And, you talked about your kids, and you have four kids. At least that's what I read. You have 4 kids. One of your kids, I don't know if this is your oldest, but you have a kid named Talon, 28, I believe.
Yep.
It sounds just like you. Now, I don't know if this is his voice or if this is an imitation, but he was in the remake of Final Fantasy VII. And, I'm sure a lot of people, and I'm going to play a little snippet right here. I'm sure a lot of people thought that this was you in the game.
You don't want to mess with the monsters in here. Move along now. And just where do you think you're going, huh? Burning the midnight oil, are we? Keep your head on a swivel out there, Merc.
So that's your son, man. Now does he talk like that, or has he just been around you so long that he can just do your voice?
He's just having fun there, and he can do. I just assume if anybody takes word from me, it'd be my son Talon, or my son Gabriel, who's also an actor. Talon, he does his own thing, but he does have, we do have very similar voices. This is how genes work. So he can do his own thing. He can also goof around and do sort of, something that sounds very, similar to Dad. But yeah, he's a beast. He's like 6'4". He's actually done bodybuilding competitions. He's not quite as big as he once was. He's toned down a bit, but he's a trainer. He's very, very smart. He's very well read. He reads a book a day. Japanese. He was a beekeeper when he was 11.
Wow.
He's fascinated by so many different things. And he's got such a wonderful heart. Always referred to him as Talon the Lion Heart. But we've been very blessed. We have 4 amazing kids that all love and support each other, and it's been a really great family unit for years. Everybody's really close.
Yeah, I looked up some when I was looking at pictures of Talon for that clip right there. I have to tell you, Talon, you're right, man. The pictures I looked at of him are, guy's huge in some of these pictures. It's like someone was in the chat was saying like he's the real Brock Sampson. Like when you look friendly, you're a big guy and you look friendly and you're extremely nice. Your son scares the hell out of me, man. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. He's like Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's big. Like I said, he's just shy of 5 feet. Yes. And then, do you have any of Gabriel too? Huh?
You know what? I can look up is your son Gabriel. Is he as big as
he is
Tyler?
not, but he is adorable. Boy, he's just when Gabriel he started in high school. He played Conrad Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie, and just because he kind of brought like the Val Kilmer, what was that movie Val did? Love it, like the Naked Gun movies back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you know what which film I'm talking about?
Wait a minute. I was looking up your son. Which movie are you talking about again? Describe it.
Well, I'm just saying Gabriel brought a very much of a Val Kilmer performance to...
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. It was the one where Val Kilmer played a spy in France and...
Yes,
Top Secret?
Top Secret.
Yeah, there you go. So your son has a Val Kilmer vibe going on.
Warburton, it's Top Secret. Top Secret. You dummy. It's a classic. We probably watch it once a year. I don't know. My brain's not working. But so they're both going to the biz, and they're doing great, but it's a challenging biz to get into and get, going, especially during this time.
Yeah. Is the whole family going to be going into the entertainment business, you think?
No, my son Shane is, he's been a pilot since he was 18. He's doing all kinds of different things right now. Mm-hmm. And my daughter Lexi, probably the most talented of the bunch, beautiful, amazing singing voice, just no desire to be in the public eye, very private person. So she had first gone to nursing school at the top of her class, left that because she couldn't handle the tactile, the blood and all that stuff. She's smart enough to be at the top of her class when it came to all of that, but then when it came to having to touch people, that bothered her. And so she got her degree in accounting and did that for a year and hated how beat up they got. So she quit that, and now she's looking at something else. Yeah.
It seems like you have a very soft spot for children in general. In addition to all of the acting and voice work that you do, you still find the time to go out and do a celebrity golf tournament, and you do this to raise money for St. Jude's Hospital. I think this is something that you've been doing since 2011. Here's you in action right now, getting the event together and talking about your involvement here.
It's because we have such a great team, and the people in the Coachella Valley here have been very supportive.
Patrick Warburton.
I think there's even a story where the first date you had with your then future wife, she saw you wearing an emblem for St. Jude's Hospital, which I don't know if she was involved with at the time, but it was something that has sparked something immediately in common for you.
Yeah, very close to Corey. Yes. No, I had just done a little bit of volunteer work reading stories at CHOC, which is Children's Hospital in Orange County, like 40 years ago. But I guess we were on a date, and I guess she saw my coat in the back seat of my car for that. And I probably just left it there because I thought, this will impress her.
You weren't even volunteering at the time. You just stole a coat and just put it in the back seat.
Yeah. I need a Children's Hospital coat.
I'll get to her.
But she saw that. But we started this event for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital over 10 years ago. And by year 3 or 4, it was the #1 event of its kind in the nation for St. Jude. So we've done very well. I think we've raised almost $15 million in 10 years for the hospital, and it's a golf tournament. But we have we're kind of famous for our jam. We'll have maybe 9 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame artists. So the concert goes for, it's gone almost 5 hours at times.
Yeah, is that something that you've always done? Just giving back, working with charities, doing volunteer work. Did you ever volunteer when you were younger?
Yeah, well, like I said, when I was younger, for a brief period of time, I did that. Would go over to the Children's Hospital and read. But I always found that doing things like that, help. What my wife and I wanted to do was try to. We wanted to do something. We've always felt very, fortunate that we have 4 healthy children, and you can't help but feeling, blessed for, and we want to help those. That don't. And so if you have a sick child, it's unfortunate to have a sick child, but at least it's in a day and age where you are fortunate enough to have a hospital like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So, back in the day, even back in the 60s, for instance, the mortality rate for leukemia was, the survival rate was 4%. Today it's 94%.
Nice.
Overall, with most of these pediatric cancers and the blastomas and whatnot, it used to be maybe a 20% cure rate. Now it's an 80% cure rate. So with the work that they do, and since they're non-proprietary, they share it with the rest of the world. And they've always been at the forefront of, therapies and cures. It's just the best hospital in the world you can help. And so we want to do something outside of just trying to be the best parents that we can be. And because no matter what, at times you're going to fail, as long as you love and you listen. But, so it's been a great thing for the whole family to be involved in.
Wow, I'm looking at some of the comments in our chat, and they're like, my cold, dead heart has warmed up again. Some people, like, you've been an inspiration to people right now. Some of these people act like they know you, like, oh, this guy, great person, great family man. He's raised great children. Great golfer. I don't know if some of these people know you personally, but everyone is in love with you right now. Everyone's like, great dad.
I'm a horrible golfer. I love golfing, but I just not great.
Well, you're better than somebody over here because they think that you're awesome. So, you can just put that out there. Look at this, such a soul. Oh, this man, I love this man here. And people keep asking, how did I get an interview with Crunk? So, if you don't mind, I would just like to take just a real quick 5 minutes, because I never get a chance to do this. Because again, I talk to a lot of people, but to talk to someone like you, who, your career has been incredible. I can't possibly cover at all everything that you've done. The only thing I can really do from this point is probably get the chat to ask some questions about things that you have done and what they've enjoyed. So can I just do that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So as soon as I can get through all these nice things people are saying about you, we'll get to a question. You're awesome, man. Patrick rocks. You need to write a book, somebody said. So people, you've been asking questions the whole time. If you have any questions for Patrick right now, this is the time to do it. Okay, so this is Ryan, and this is a good question because you're taking on a voice that was done by somebody else. What was it like voicing Buzz Lightyear in the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command TV show, especially when somebody else has done that voice?
Oh, that was funny because I knew when I got that opportunity, I remember what it was like when I was a kid. You'd fall in love with a movie and a character, and then we'd have the Saturday morning cartoons. That's when the cartoons came on.
Yeah. And
then they have the cartoon of the movie, and you'd watch it, and then you're like, oh, that's not the guy. That's not the real guy doing the voice. So I immediately knew that I would be the poor man's Buzz Lightyear. But I'm like, absolutely. I'm in. I'll take it. And then it's funny because I ended up working with Tim Allen a number of times, and Tim and I are friends, but we give each other a little bit of good-natured ribbing about our different buzzes and whatnot. And then we did a movie called Big Trouble in Florida, and then we did this movie called Joe Somebody, where I smack him to the ground in front of his 10-year-old daughter. One of the ugliest things I've ever done on film. I never even let my kids watch this because the ugliest thing I could imagine is a man hitting another man in front of his child. I think that's uglier than war, guns, anything. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, It's just so brutal. And so it was on that day I looked at Tim as I smack him, and now he's on the ground. I go, I must be your worst nightmare. I voice your character. I'm following you from set to set. Now I'm beating you up in front of your kids. Well, we're friends. One day Tim and I were playing golf, and I'm such a fast eater, and I realized that I had eaten my lunch before Tim had started his. And I looked at him and I go, I'm so sorry, Tim. I eat like I either had older brothers or I was in prison and I had neither. And Tim, without a beat, said I had both.
And now you're this man's bully. You're taking his roles, you're pushing him to the ground. By the way, I know you say it's a terrible thing, but somebody in the chat said that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So it entertained someone. Let me see here. Let me see, because we already we covered this at the beginning. But you know what? I'll ask it. I don't usually like to ask this kind of question now because sometimes people don't want to talk trash. But I'll ask it anyway since somebody put it out there. Are there any roles over your huge career that you have regretted or you didn't like too much, didn't want to favorable about?
Any roles that I regret?
Yeah, let's go with that. Any roles you regret, something you didn't like too much when you had it?
Oh my gosh, well, you showed 2 of them.
That's why I said, that's how we started. You must have come in late because I can tell you right now, his role in what was that? The pilot for, there it is, the pilot for Life's a Banquet. And we talked about something called Dragonard, where he led a white guy leaving a black slave revolt. So yeah, those 2 things we kind of covered. So I shouldn't go any deeper than that.
I mean, there's nothing more absurd than Dragonard. There really isn't. Yes, it took a white slave me to help lead the black slave revolt. That's the kind of garbage we were making 35 years ago. I was 22, so yeah, that was a long time ago. It was just the whole thing was just absurd, but and a lot of bad acting, and I was the worst in it. Any other? There are a couple of things. Yeah, I forget the names of them. You know, like you'll do a favor for somebody, and then you'll show up and you'll do a favor, and then it ends up on your IMDb, and then you talk to me, you go, look, dude, I did this as a favor, and I showed up, and I was on your set till 3 o'clock in the morning because you're a friend of mine, and now it's in my IMDb page, and I was supposed to, you didn't want credit on it, you were trying to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I go, and now I just look like an idiot for being on it, but yeah, as they say, no good deed goes something. I forget how that.
Unpunished, I believe. And let me just say, you was such a lovable and likable guy. Black people will follow you anywhere. I speak for them. I tell you this right now. We'll probably make this the last question because I said this is a very busy man. We're lucky to have him for the time that we have him. We talked about your son doing video games, but you have done plenty of video game voices too. I don't know if there's any big difference doing video game voices than it is doing voices for animated TV shows and movies, but somebody wants to know about that. And in particular, is Austin. He wants to know what it was like doing Hugo Vasquez in Tales of the Borderlands and doing video game roles and voice acting. Okay, that's what I said, compared to movies and television.
Well, doing voice acting in these video games have become much more sort of interactive and stories into themselves. So it's almost like recording for a cartoon when you're doing a video game right now. Vasquez would have just been like playing some sort of douchey villain in a cartoon. He was a douchey guy in this, and that's just sort of the approach that you take. I mean, I still don't know how the game works. I never played the game.
Well, it doesn't matter as long as you got paid for it, right?
Yeah. I play online backgammon. That's what I do.
Backgammon. Wow, online.
Online.
You know, I think, okay, I said that was the last one, but this is going to be the last one. It's definitely, thank you guys for all your questions. This is the last one. If you had a dream role, anything in the future that you could play right now, any desire to play anything, what would that be? Is there any character that you want to do for a while that you hope to do maybe one day?
Well, I think I'd like to play the Duke in maybe a John Wayne biography.
Ah.
It'd be interesting.
Are we talking about pre or post Playboy interview?
Oh my God.
You know, and I gotta say, you could do it, man. If and I'm not even kidding around here. I'm not, you know, I think now that you brought it up, regardless of what anybody feels about John Wayne, we're talking about classic Duke. You could definitely do that.
Yeah, you know, it could be interesting to do like a really honest biography. It's like, you know, it just paints the picture of everybody and, you know, all pretty colors, you know. Look at the, you know, the inside, warts and all. It could be an interesting
Yeah. You know, maybe they'll do one of those deep biopics where they talk about the man and his legend and his flaws, and you could do that one day. You know, who knows? You know what ASMR is? I think is what it's called.
Oh, yeah, that's the, it's, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm probably one of those ones who just, it's where you make the sounds and.
Yeah. Some people are saying they would gladly pay you money if you would just make sounds. You don't have to make words, just make sounds, eat something. Your voice is so great. People say they could fall asleep to it. So,
we did do that with Lemony Snicket. I did that in characters Lemony Snicket. So I think that is out there somewhere. We did a little bit of a gag as Lemony Snicket ASMR.
Yeah, someone even just said it, that you did one for Snicket. I got to tell you, man, people, they love you in here, man. And I'm sorry that we can't get to everything that you want, but people are, there's just a cascade of not only questions, but just huge compliments to you. People just, they just love you, man. And, you know, and they have so many things I want to ask about. We can't do that, people. We have to go. This man has to go catch Corona on the set that he's working on right now. So.
Well, I do want to say that I'm thankful for all that. And, you know, that does mean a lot, Corey. And so I really do appreciate that because I love people. And that's why it's been really hard. You know, this last year for all of us, just the pain and everything going on, you know, it's just, I want to see us all in a good place again.
Yeah. I think, you know, I'll close with this. I think that's why people really, really just, you know, love your work because they just see given what you just said, they see that you're a genuinely great person, man. I think that comes through in your work. And I think that's why people are loving this right now. They just think that you're a really cool guy, and it very much has shown. Very much has shown. You do interviews with a lot of people. You can tell when people are laid back, such as you are, and just a pleasure to talk to. And this has truly been a pleasure to talk to you. I hope it's been the same for you. Thank you so much.
Well, Corey, it has. So I mean, a lot of love, Corey. Thank you.
No, thank you, and good luck. Good luck on the film right now, and definitely looking forward to whatever else that you're doing, which I'm sure is going to be plenty more to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Corey.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And thank you out there. You were such a great audience today, and I wish I could have covered everything. It is so hard to do one of these unless you have a couple of hours. It is impossible to go through and talk about everything that this man has done, or anybody with the body of work that this man has done. Wish we could have done a part 2 or something, but you know, you see this right here. Everybody has their favorites. Everybody has their memories. It's just, I wish I could have asked him about everything. And believe me, I have questions about it too. But it's also cool to see somebody sit back and just be a real decent and pleasurable human being, man, and someone that you could just sit back and have this really mellow and nice discussion with. He wouldn't remember it, but like I said, I talked to him years ago, back in 1999, and I can tell you, it looks like he's gotten nicer with age. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chat fam real quick because You guys, I did not have it up because I usually don't pull up the chat when I'm doing an interview because I don't want to get in the way of all of the, you know, the video while we're doing this. It's a little more laid back. But I want to thank you guys, man. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. You're great. You truly are. And I hope you had a good time with the interview. We've done so many, and you just hope that this interview will just be as good as the last one. You're not always asking to be better, but you're just hoping that you can maintain. If you had a good interview, you can only hope that you can do as good as the last one. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, people. Yeah, I had somebody said, I didn't know you met him in 1999. It was an interview for that movie, The Woman Chaser, that we were talking about earlier. He was talking about how he was really into this movie, and it's a small film, but it did give him a chance to do something differently. So yeah, I talked to him back then. Loved that film. Hopefully when we get back to quote unquote normal times, we can go back to having parties and gatherings, and we'll have a viewing party for that if we can get around to it. Let me see here. He just responded, I think. Let me show you what he said here. This is actually pretty cool. This is really nice, man. He says, "Wow, you're awesome, sir. Thank you for a great interview. I very much enjoyed this. Lots of love, brother." And then he signs off with Warbs. Well, that right there, you can't ask for more. All you want is somebody to come in and have a great time doing an interview, and hopefully you didn't offend them. And hopefully they had a great time. So yeah, man. Very sweet of him. Very sweet. Well, that makes my day. Now I can go off and have lunch and feel like I accomplished something. So once again, thank you guys. Really appreciate you being here. All of you wonderful people in our community. Please, if you like what we do, if you want to see more of these interviews, we are about to start our YouTube channel just for the interviews. That'll probably start sometime this week. But if you like what we do here, if you enjoy the shows, if you enjoy these interviews, please support us. Check out all the stuff that we do. Check our YouTube channel where we put all of our edited content up. Please subscribe to the channel, our Twitch channel. Get yourself a free subscription with your Amazon Prime account. And please support us through our new Patreon. We're trying to not only keep doing what we're doing, but we're trying to get to the point where we can do some animation. I've been drawing you guys. I have a stream coming up very soon showing you some of these pictures that I've been drawing. And get some bonus materials, bonus streams, and other perks that will come your way if you support us over there. So, all right, let me quit begging. Let me let you guys go. Thank you very much, and we will see you on the next one, whatever that will be. kcoolmans@gmail.com. That's KCOOLMANZ@gmail.com. You email us with any kind of questions, comments, compliments, insults, input, and our advice. Hit us up on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you ever find yourself here in Austin, Texas, hopefully it'll be when it's safe, then please let us know. You can start out by letting us know your plans ahead of time once we get big rolling off the streets. kcoolmans@gmail.com. Let us know if you're moving here or just simply passing through. We'd love to once again hang out with you. All right, everybody, that is it. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are listening to or watching this, goodbye and stay toasty.